Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. It's your coach, Kaylee here. Today, we're going to talk about the so fun topic of employee compensation plans. And I want to start by suggesting to you that some of the challenges that you may find relate to the compensation conversation with employees may have to do with more of the hiring process and more of the way that we approach hiring and employment and compensation altogether. And so often I see the negotiation or the transaction of hiring an employee treated like someone's going to buy a dishwasher or something. Like, let me look around and find and pick the best one. I truly believe that if you, in your heart of hearts, believe that people are your greatest asset and that you need great people and you want A players on your team, then why in the world aren't you marketing and showing up to the hiring market and to the hiring table and the negotiation in terms of a comp plan like you would the way you market and go out to create visibility and awareness around your products and services in your business? We're so quick to build a whole communication strategy and campaign and promotions around the things that we're selling, yet we don't show up with that same energy and the same enthusiasm around hiring people. And my goal, my mission would be for us to change that, to see that really not be the way that we approach hiring. And I really held off on doing a podcast on this topic because I really think the discussion around compensation planning deserves more than a 20-minute conversation. But as we've been working with our clients on helping them redefine their mission, vision, and values, and really recalibrating the business, resetting cultures, what tends to follow are employee reoffers and new hires. And with employment offers and reoffers comes restructured comp plans. So it's sort of a hot topic. It's kind of always a hot topic because developing comp plans can be tricky. And while it's a hot topic, it's certainly also a misunderstood one. And it usually takes a few tries to get it right. And the reality is, as our business evolves, so should its employees, and so should the manner in which they are compensated for their contributions to the company. So it's essentially a process and not so much a transaction. And in general, I'll be asked questions like, what's the going rate for XYZ employee? Or what do you pay your employees in XYZ role? Or what should I bonus my employee on? And these are all, of course, valid and reasonable questions and questions that we have, right? So I wanted to clear up a few things in this next few minutes to help you think about what success looks like in a compensation plan. I want to talk about a few of the biggest mishaps that I see from my experience and some best practices for developing employee compensation plans. Let's start off by discussing why figuring out how to pay people is so dang challenging to begin with. From my experience, problems begin from square one when an employer assumes that employees work for them primarily for the paycheck. And maybe this has been you. This is the first mindset hurdle to address, the thought that it's all about the money. I mean, is it actually true that a great employee is only focused on how much they are compensated? So if they didn't get along with anyone in the company and you beat and mangled them, would they stay because you paid them well? Right? So think about why you started your business. Was it to make gobs of money? I had a girlfriend once tell me that she thought I started my business because I was money motivated. And I had to remind her that I left a very lucrative corporate sales director income where I was making more than most of my friends combined to essentially go into debt and make zero for a good couple of years while I was working my ass off to build something from thin air. And I know you can relate. And I'm guessing most high growth level 10 employees aren't sitting around just waiting for a paycheck. They're seeking out a challenge. They're seeking growth as a human being. They are selfishly protective about how, where, and who they spend their time with and what kind of mission they're on in the world. And another mindset hurdle to overcome is that a great employee will only work for you if you pay them more than someone else does. This is just BS. Let's just say it is true that great employees are all about the income and on the hunt for the company who can pay the most. Why would that employee stay with you unless your retention strategy is to only continue paying that employee more and more and more and more until the business has nothing left? If that's the case, if an employee is primarily focused on income, do you want that employee in your company to begin with? I mean, how sustainable is that? Instead, I recommend asking yourself a similar question that you might ask about how you market your products and services to patients. What makes you an employer that people want to work for? You're freaking awesome. You're on a mission. You transform lives. You love the work you do, and you've cultivated an ecosystem that would be a dream for people to work for. So please stop assuming it's all about the money and start remembering what you have to offer to someone who is worthy of working in your business. So initiating this compensation conversation with the wrong assumptions as a best case scenario makes the experience transactional. It's like we're buying a TV. Are you negotiating for a TV or enrolling a human being into your vision? Worst case scenario, we give the wrong impression to our candidate, overpay them, and feel resentful and stressed out about it, or give them the upper hand in the relationship. And I know I'm going to get some hate mail on this one, but it's the truth. There's a better approach, a more strategic approach, and I want to share with you some of those best practices today. Number one being to get role and results clarity. So what this means is we are doing a deep dive into our numbers to understand how the position we're hiring for, when executed properly, will contribute to the bottom line of the business. Remember, leader, we hire people to make our business money. I know you forgot that for a minute. So let me repeat that. The role of an employee is to generate a profit for our business. So it's so important to really understand the value of each key results area or KRA. I recorded an episode a few weeks back explaining what a KRA or a KPI is for your business. So if you missed it, you'll want to head back and check out that episode. So for example, here's a breakdown of a few of the KRAs for a practice manager in our Practice Manager Fast Track certification program. I'll give you a few. I won't name all of them, but just to get sort of an idea of how specific these are. Number one, increase company gross revenue by 20% year over year. A goal of retail sales, 10% of gross monthly service sales. A Botox rebook rate of X%. Convert neurotoxin patients to filler patients at X%. Achieve 65-star Google reviews per year. Complete tasks assigned to job description and daily office functioning. Live out and adhere to company values. Quarterly staff appreciation events and team building, achieving a 90% A-team staff with lower turnover. Reduces operational costs, looking for cost-saving measures monthly. Meets open house revenue goals. Completes employee handbook within 30 days of employment. Help facilitate monthly staff trainings as appropriate for team members. Work with owner on this, group or individual. So these are a few of them, but you can see how specific and measurable these objectives are. Once we have these specific objectives laid out, we can do the math to know what a position is actually worth to our company. Then a compensation budget range can be developed that is appropriate for the role. Our rule of thumb is that an employee should be producing an average of 4 times the value they bring to the company. The reason for this is that each employee should generate enough profit independently to pay for the next employee. This is how we grow our team. So I want to emphasize that this illustration puts into context why the strategy of what's the going rate for that role or what's the industry average for that role doesn't work. Every business is at its own stage of business, and the reality is not every business can afford every employee. And some businesses have the luxury of paying above industry average. In fact, we have a client whose mission is to be known as the highest paying practice in her area. It's one of her competitive advantages. Our company, as an example, has a 30-hour work week. We're a living and breathing example of our core philosophy around a life-first business, and we're able to use this as a negotiating power to attract and retain extraordinarily talented people, even though we're a smaller company than many of our competitors. Best practice number 2 is to know your candidate. What drives them? What are they proud of accomplishing in their life? Where do they see themselves in a few years? Does your company have a pathway to help them get there? What are their salary expectations? The reality is that this is the only salary number that matters, truly, whether it's realistic or not. I'll remind you that it's about the total fit for the company. If they have a number in their mind, it's your job to either meet that number or show them a pathway to get them there that is in alignment with their goals and yours. Paying them less than they feel they're worth will only create resentment. This is why we ask this question early in our hiring process, so we can evaluate immediately if we feel that what this candidate is asking for matches what we believe they can bring to the table for our company in terms of value and results. And best practice number 3, the extras should be extra. Often business owners say to me that they really want their employees to be motivated to work harder, so they jump to offer a bonus for them. And here's the thing, a bonus is just that, a bonus. I'm not advocating against paying a bonus, and I'm certainly not advocating that you not pay your employees exceptionally well if they do exceptional work. But what I'm saying is that bonuses, revenue share, equity, these are not strategies to motivate someone. They either come to you motivated or not. These are instead incentives for going above and beyond, or strategies to invest in strengthening your partnership with that employee and the business. The objectives of a role should be met within the KRA that are assigned to the role, independent of a bonus or a commission incentive. Best practice number 4, slow and steady wins the race. It's usually at that time when we're feeling desperate for help, most likely because we waited 6 months too long to hire someone, and we start acting like a teenage boy trying to get a hot girl to go on a date with him. We start doing all kinds of crazy things like skipping steps in the hiring process, ignoring red flags, making excuses, and overpaying for employees because we don't have the capacity to grow without them. Does this sound familiar? Rather than jumping to pay the very highest range of your budget right off the bat, give an employee something to work toward and truly provide and reward upward growth and mobility. Remember, you can't go backward once you've set a compensation baseline, but your employee will most definitely be looking to advance upward. Finally, number 5, develop a compensation package versus a plan. Remember, this is not just a transactional exchange of money. You can package perks and offers into your package that will comprise a mix of 4 basic components of compensation: a base pay, wage add-ons, incentives, and benefits. Divide funds among each of these components. And if you offer other incentives like training, education, mentorship, conferences, aesthetic treatments, paid parking, etc., be sure to include these into the total package. I prefer a package for 2 reasons. 1, it helps the employee visualize the cumulative cost to the company for their employment. And 2, it helps differentiate your offer for the employee versus just showing them an hourly pay. Similar to the idea of advertising an aesthetic procedure, you want to bundle your offer and make it proprietary to you. Okay, leader, I hope this episode has been helpful for you. Like all of the fun facets of business development, learning how to build compensation plans becomes so much easier once you've done it once or twice. And certainly once you begin hiring additional team members for existing roles in which you've already done this work to understand the KRAs, the value, and the expectations of the role and culture fit. And as always, if you would like support implementing these strategies into your business, you can set up a discovery call with our team through the link in the show notes, or head to the link in the bio of our Instagram at kaylee.lindholm. All right, Goddess, have an amazing week, and I look forward to chatting with you same place, same time next week. Take care. Wait, before you go, If you're vibing with this conversation and want to join me on my mission to help 1,000 inspiring and intentional women cross the next $1 million milestone in their business this year, or maybe you want to become one of them, head over to Facebook and join our free community, the Fierce Factor Society. Over there, we are taking this conversation to an elevated level. Get access to resource guides, podcast supplements, and guideposts, direct communication with me and my expert team, and of course, a society of fierce women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to Facebook and search up the Fierce Factor Society. See you there, goddess.